Go for Donnie.
We're the department for Donnie.
Go for Donnie.
Or go for Donnie.
Go for Donnie.
And for Donnie.
Go for Donnie. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest on the show today. Mark, how do you pronounce your last name, Mark?
It's Koesterer.
Mark Koesterer? Is that correct? Mark Koesterer, right? Oh, man, I'm so glad I got it right. Guys, Mark comes from the NIL world. So please stay tuned because on Switchy Channel 2, we're going to have a lot of chatter about the NIL, what's happening, what's going to happen, and what we can do to further it along and maybe create a new industry out of this as well. But until then, you guys stay tuned. We have Switchy Channel 2 coming up after this. Mark, we came up with this other show called Switchy Channel 2 because, as you know, on set, you have walkies, and whenever you need a little chatter, you'd go back and switch that channel to 2. You'd have your little chatter. It could be about anything. It could be about the food of the day. It could be about, I don't know, maybe you need to make some trade and you got to get away for a few minutes. But I'd have a little chatter and we come back to Channel 1. So that's a fun little show that we have after this. I also have a website, Mark. It's called Go for Donnie. This is an audio podcast, but it's also a video podcast. That's why we have your lovely mug on here for our YouTube channel. So please stay tuned for that, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. So, Mark, I must say you're in a kind of a similar industry as I am or was. What could you just tee up what you used to do and then what you're doing with NIL real quick?
Sure. I mean, my foundation in name, image, and likeness really came from the sports marketing world. And in 2008, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to go work for a company called Sports Studio in Los Angeles.
Nice.
And it was an evolution of a family-run wardrobe company that had done Hollywood wardrobe for sports movies. First movie that they ever did was 1979.
Wow.
North Dallas 40.
Holy crap, seriously?
Nick Nolte, Mac Davis, if you remember it. And the history of the company was Any Given Sunday, Replacements, Miracle, We Are Marshall, 8 Men Out, League of Their Own. Every sports movie. Yeah, they did the wardrobe and worked with the props and the casting. And I was in the wardrobe group, actually manufacturing sports apparel for Hollywood and for teams. And in 2010, I got the great opportunity to become the CEO of that company, which included the manufacturing unit and the Hollywood unit.
And sorry, was this all on the East Coast as well?
No, this was in Culver City, California.
Oh, that's where I live. Shut up, Mark. Wow. Yeah. Okay, we'll have to talk about that.
We're on Hayden Place. First funny story is our warehouse was the original soundstage for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, Donatello. Yeah, all right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so, my claim to fame was I was successful in taking the company from a small wardrobe company to a partner for all things sports for the NFL, NBA, MLB.
Wow.
And so if you're a licensed partner or a sponsor, and you want to use NFL uniforms or marks in TV shows, movies, commercial shoots, photo shoots, you need to come to us to support that.
Wow, that's pretty freaking cool. I mean, so what was, real quick, the process to get that approved by the NFL for their likeness? I mean, do you have to go through that as well, or?
It's a great story. So after working for the company for 2 years, I was appointed the president and CEO. And, I was all excited about it. This is a true story. I called my father and I said, Dad, I made it. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm in the corner office. My father was a junior high gym teacher. He had no idea what the corner office was. He said, did you get in trouble? And I'm like, no. It's good, Dad. It's a good thing. I explained to him, I hang up the phone, and literally Federal Express comes knocking on the door. One of the employees comes in with an envelope, and it was a cease and desist letter from the in-house counsel at the National Football League, NFL. And we had been supplying uniforms for commercial shoots forever, and the NFL kind of turned a blind eye because they didn't have a good solution. Because you understand Hollywood, it's never planned out. It's always chaotic and last minute, and they couldn't respond to the demands of production companies, so we provided that. But they had been building a licensing program. They had building a uniformity around uniforms, and the time was right. And that was my first day on the job.
Wow.
I took that letter and I got on a plane, went to New York, and successfully had a conversation that went something like this: "You need me, I need you. Let's get together," and it worked.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, I wish more business could be conducted like that these days. Like cut through all the bullshit. Let's just, black and white. This is what we need to do. This is what we can accomplish. Let's move forward. Let's get it done. That's so amazing. Okay. All right. So you do have a taste of what we do. I mean, that's, and it boils down to it is just making content for whoever it is. So you totally get
Yeah,
that.
we like to say that we work with people that use sports to tell stories. And my example is, someone hits a home run, that's a story.
Mm-hmm.
Someone strikes out, that's a different story, right?
Yeah.
And so it was the early days of real proliferation of sports marketing when athletes were really becoming influencers, and they were using athletes to sell products and to tell stories. And people told great stories in the movies. If you think about Replacements and Any
Yeah.
Given Sunday. And the first movie I worked on was Moneyball in 2008.
Oh, I love that movie.
And,
Yeah.
it's a sports movie, but it's really a life movie. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great movie. But they were telling stories using sports. And that's what we specialized in: wardrobe, props, casting, choreography, product placement, and
Wow.
all the licensing approvals. So we were the sub production company doing all of that on set.
That's very cool. Now, was that limited to NFL or was that across the board for any
Yeah,
sporting?
MLB, NBA, U.S. Soccer, Major League Soccer, and we did non-licensed products too. Like, think about Buffalo Wild Wings, right? There's people in the bar with jerseys on and fandom, and we did everything, right? We had the pictures in the background, we had the trophies on set, we had the Gatorade containers, we had the headsets, we did the cheerleaders, the
Wow.
referees, we did the fans, everything that told the story involving sports.
That's so cool. And it's so brand heavy too, right? You can throw brands on anything you just mentioned right there. And I'm sure brands would love to be involved with that throughout the movie. Do you have any opinion on the F1 movie and their branding and the success of the branding, how they went about it? I mean, it's different. It's racing and not.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but so part of my indoctrination to all of this was I worked for Adam Sandler's company, Happy Madison.
Love them. Yeah.
Okay, and their Adam's college roommate and best buddy and business partner is a guy named Jack Garaputo, and I believe Jack was one of the innovators in the history of Hollywood because he understood the power of product placement. They were the first movies to put a movie poster on the hood of a NASCAR car. All right. They were the first movie production company that promoted summer movies on Christmas Day NBA games. Right. And I can go through all of that. So I understand product placement very well. I understand the power of content. I have not seen the F1 movie, but I did just watch Happy Madison 2 or Billy Madison 2.
Yeah.
And Jack has continued his ways. I mean, think about the cameos in that movie.
It's
And he
amazing.
was brilliant. They had Dan Patrick on early in the movies. And why? Because he was an ESPN host and then became a great sports broadcaster. But they knew that if he was in the movie, he was going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And just think about that free publicity and that marketing that came from it and the power of brands. And again, it was early stages of sports marketing as we know it today. And it really was my foundation for name, image, and likeness.
That is so cool. I mean, I have so many questions. I have so many questions. I can go down a rabbit hole. But before we do that, I just wanted to see, since you did work in this industry, do you have any good stories from maybe any athletes that you worked with back in the day for any of these commercials, good or
Yeah,
bad?
so we worked with everybody, right? Like we did 1,300 projects a year. So I've been on
Holy
set with
cow!
Shaq and Kobe and LeBron. We worked on Space Jam 2 right before we sold the business. Worked with Troy Polamalu, one of the great people
Mm,
in the world and an amazing athlete from the Steelers. And he had a run there where he was in Nike and Head and Shoulder commercials all the time. Same with Cam Newton. Um, we did an AT&T commercial. This is interesting with Mark Sanchez and Drew Brees. Sanchez was with the Jets and Brees was with the Saints. And it was just interesting to see the young, brash USC quarterback come on set with his entourage and all of his, accompaniments. And Drew Brees, the, seasoned professional, came on set in the hotel van with his offensive lineman because he said he wasn't doing the AT&T commercial without his boys being in the show or in the spot. And it just showed me what a good person he was and the loyalty and how he connected with his teammates and how he shared in his wealth. And he was very successful. He just won the Super Bowl. So that's a great story. I mean, the best Kobe story I have is if you remember about 10 years ago in the Soccer World Cup, there was this famous dance where these celebrities were doing a dance to celebrate the World Cup, and they wanted Kobe to be part of it. And Nike had gotten involved. And we had a 2 hour, and you understand this from production, we had a 2 hour window where we were going to shoot Kobe in a gym down in Orange County. And of course, he didn't show up on time. And then he didn't show up even later.
Ugh.
And the window's closing, and everyone's panicked, and we're shooting this scene. And he walks in, it's 20 minutes to go. He said, I got 20 minutes. I have to go to my daughter's soccer game. And, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But he was a professional. I think it was one take, and he was out of there. And I was like, wow, that's the
Wow.
power of celebrity. He had, 100 people on set on the edge of their seats. Was he going to show up? What was his attitude going to be? He was great. He did it in one take. He walked out of the gym, went to the soccer game with his daughter, and it became an iconic spot in World Cup history.
Wow. Isn't it amazing where some of the best content or things that you accomplish are within a short amount of time, or you're under extreme pressure to get it done and you're not sure if it's going to happen or if you're going to make it, and it turns out to be brilliant or amazing. That's a cool feeling. I can't tell you how many plans have gone sideways, and then on the spot, Johnny on the spot, you got to come up with something quick, and usually you do. And like I said, it's usually better than what you had planned for. So, wow, that's cool. Oh yeah, poor Kobe. But you know, it is unsettling when you do have talent like that doesn't show up or is late or is non-responsive, and then you have a whole set of 100 plus people just sitting there, sometimes just looking at you going, what's going on? And you're just like, I don't know. And you just have to wait it out, and 9 out of 10 times they come and knock it out late. And like you said, to their point, they could be really good. They could be that great on camera talent where they can knock it out in one take, and then move on, which you wish more people could do that, so that way you can get on with your 14-hour days. But
Exactly.
that's cool. I don't think I've had. I mean, Bieber. I think he was the latest I think I've ever had. I don't think I've ever had a no show on
Mm.
set. But I've heard a lot, like Mariah Carey stories.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Like a close
yeah,
friend doing a Mariah Carey music video, and just she didn't show up all day. That was one of those horrendous
yeah.
overages. But yeah, no. So I'm surely you have just a handful of more. Do you have any? Do you think when you're dealing with the talent, do you find it's more that the talent people are the difficult ones and not the talent themselves?
So it's interesting that you say that. Yes, is the answer. It's
Yeah.
totally how the agency, or the brand presents it to the talent, and in my case, mostly athletes. Although we did a lot of celebrity work. What is the setup, right? What is the preamble? What is the expectation? And look, they're people, right? And not everybody's the same, and not everybody's perfect. And some are entitled, some are mad that they're there, some are in a contract negotiation that you don't know about, and they're really
Yeah.
mad at the brand, or they signed a deal that they don't like. Some just can't be bothered. A lot of them are uncomfortable, right? It's just because they're a great athlete doesn't mean they're comfortable on camera, or you know, at ease when they're put under pressure. Many of them are vain, right? They want to be seen as this. I mean, Tony Romo had an interesting body shape, and he was insecure about that body shape, and we had to accommodate that with his uniform and make him look a little bit taller and maybe a little bit thinner than he was. He's still a great quarterback and he's a great announcer, but, not to pick on Tony, but lots of them are vain and they understand branding and they want to come off in a good way. And I would say most of the athletes that we worked with were appreciative. They were thankful. I could tell you stories about athletes that ordered In-N-Out Burger for the whole staff because they went late into the night. And, those are great stories too.
That's nice. See, that's what you like to hear, because you don't always hear those good stories. You hear the bad stories. You hear about someone acting up on set, or some skerfuffle that happens on set. Nothing about, that kind heart of buying everyone in and out at the end of the day. or buying coffees for everyone. Just as simple as buying a coffee for people, it goes such a long way, I think.
Yeah,
But at
I
the
agree.
other end of the spectrum too, Mark, we've had those where there've been nightmares. Any nightmares that you can think of, like one that was just horrendous, you know,
I probably shouldn't share those stories. But the answer is
because
yes, of
they're all,
course.
yeah, they're always there. I mean, it sucks, especially when you're on set and, like I said, you have 100 people that you're having to deal with, and one person's being difficult, and just brings the whole energy down.
I will tell you this: for about 8 or 9 years, we did the rookie symposium with an NFL Players Association. So they took about their top 40 marketable draft picks from that April. They brought them to Los Angeles. They had a 3-day seminar. There was education, there was branding opportunities. They put them in their uniforms for the first time to shoot for their Panini cards, their trading cards. And so we got to look at the recently drafted college players really before many of the teams even got to look at them. And it's amazing how many times you looked at somebody, you said, well, I don't know. And then sure enough, a year, 2 years later, they're out of the league. They're a problem. I will tell you a positive one. We worked with, so many great athletes, but to me, the one that stood out was Jameis Winston. And I'll tell you why. And he's had, an up and down career, certainly not, a Hall of Fame career to date, but he was a Hall of Fame kid in that instance. He was polite. He was courteous. We had several wardrobe changes, which were a challenge for all of the athletes. Every time we had a wardrobe change, he put his clothes back on hangers and
Wow.
hung it up. He didn't throw it on the ground and let the tech or the costumer take care of it. He took care of his space. He folded his laundry. He hung up his clothes, and it really stuck out to me because no one else did that in 7 or 8 years of 40 plus athletes every year.
Wow, that culture. I mean, I think that's culture. I can just think of the Japanese when you see shots of them, their fans, in town for World Cup or soccer games. I'll just use that for an example, and where the fans after the game are cleaning up all the trash. Same goes for the Japanese teams. I think both women and men's teams, where they leave the locker room clean, towels folded, not like in a mess. And it's really refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be to see some 18, 19-year-old kid, that has the whole world ahead of him, a lot of dollar signs to be able to be humble enough to do that. That's special. That's a special kid.
Hmm. Yeah. Love that story.
I wish we had more of that. So, have you dealt mostly with just football? I think I did ask you that because I'm a huge soccer fanatic, and I'm trying to see if you might have any big soccer player names that you came across, and
Yeah,
maybe.
unfortunately, no. And, it's probably a commentary on American sports culture. We really haven't celebrated soccer at the highest level. I mean, in recent years, certainly Messi obviously is iconic. We did work on the movie Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome! Very cool.
yeah. So, there have been a few spots here and there, but overall, we did some U.S. women's national team. Um, with Morgan and Hope Solo,
Hope
right
Solo.
around the women's World Cup stuff. So not a lot of iconic stories because there just hasn't been a lot of content. Unfortunately, brands still haven't really embraced soccer, American or European football, American soccer like they do American sports.
Let's hope they do. Let's hope. I mean, it's on the right track. Maybe they need someone like Liberty Marketing and Netflix and Box to Box to come and produce something like Drive to Survive for F1 that has been very successful
Yeah.
in generating ad revenue, new viewership, especially across the U.S. And I'm just saying that because I think the way we met on LinkedIn is I'm looking for NIL posts all the time because I'm trying to learn more and understand name and image likeness more, especially with the activation that my good friend George Barnes put together with Take Two Productions called Game Day Live, where they worked with Athletes Unlimited, and now Athletes Unlimited have a great deal with Major League Baseball, so that helped catapult him. So I basically was trying to correlate the similarities between this activation that we have for anything from a league to a team to a school to the actual athlete. And then I was like, what about Drive to Survive? I'm like, what are the similarities? And so I put it in, and there actually are a lot of similarities between the two and what they're trying to do and boost this name and image likeness for, the bottom line is for that athlete first, and then on the way up to the team and the school and the league and what have you. So how do you think these college athletes are going to respond to this when they are going to be able to get their market value for their name and image likeness? And like, let's say it's athlete A is, their market value is, I don't know, millions of dollars. You have athlete B that, you know maybe their $600 cap. How do you think the dynamic is going to work with these college athletes and teams now with that? Do you think there's going to be much of an issue? And I know I'm just going all over the place because it just came into my head, but it seems like, bottom line is teamwork. These are athletes and they're coming together as a team. Do you think this is going to, I don't know, stir the pot a little?
Well, I think there's always that potential, but in every business, there's someone in the corner office that makes more money than someone on the factory floor in the warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just, there's always stratus in life. But I think it's important to go back for a second, Donnie, and talk about the NIL era, which began July 1st, 2021, when the NCAA unceremoniously removed all of the restrictions on amateur athletes making money. First of all, that had been coming for a long time. You think back to 1992 in the Barcelona Olympics, it was the first time that we had sent professional athletes to the Olympic competition.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, to me, like the beginning of the erosion between amateur and professional athletes. Professional athletes have been influencers forever. Go back to Joe DiMaggio and Yogi Berra and Sandy Koufax and whoever you want to talk about. There's always been professional athletes that have been pitchmen. O.J. Simpson and Arnold Palmer, and it goes on and on. But we had always decided that amateur athletics should remain in college. And after many, many lawsuits and the NCAA losing all of those lawsuits, they finally threw their hands up in the air and said, okay, no restrictions. And that created the chaos that we
Jeez.
have now. I mean, literally,
Wow.
did us no favors. And what's happened since July 1st, 2021, Donnie, although it's the NIL era, has very little to do with name, image, and likeness. So the stories that you're probably referring to, or that most people have heard about these athletes making 5 and 6 and 7 figures, it's not for their name, image, and likeness. It's for
Yeah, no.
them. It's for them to run fast and jump high, right? It's for them to be athletes and win games. It's quite frankly pay for play. There's been some transfer portal chaos thrown in there, which the NCAA did not do us any favors with that as well. And the alumni and boosters, which we created a term called collectives. No one cares about their social media following. No one cares about their influence. No one cares about their community service. No one cares about their grades, right?
Right.
They care, can they help them win games? And that's dominated the news. But I will tell you that it represents about 2% of the over 500,000 kids that played sports in college this past year. What I'm focused on and what real NIL is an athlete using their platform as a celebrity, as a local hometown hero, and creating opportunities for them today, but more importantly, opportunities down the road. And we like to say we're taking it from a 4-year transactional mindset to a 40-year transformative mindset. How can you use athletics to better your life?
That makes sense. So this has been a long time coming. I mean, and it was just, the straw that broke the camel's back, right? When this actually happened. And then now everyone's seeing how much money can be made. Well, everyone knew how much money could be made. So now it's just trying to get the regulation down because they're moving forward. It's not going to go backwards, right? We're here. Yeah. Man. So do you think, I mean, it's going to be an issue regardless with the collectives. I mean, do you think that Deloitte and was it CSC? Is that the college?
Yep.
Do you think that they're actually going to be able to regulate it enough to where these collectives aren't going to be able to pay that said supreme athlete, a chunk of money just to play for their team? I mean,
Yeah.
surely they're going to get around it some way.
Yeah, they always have. I mean, what has the NIL era taught us? It showed us how to take the brown bag of cash from the parking lot and bring it into the locker room. Right now, it's legal. I mean, go back to the SMU scandal and the Reggie Bush scandal. I mean, there's been athletes getting money forever. We won't talk about that. Your question is, can we regulate it? Is the Deloitte clearinghouse the answer? We need some more oversight. Okay, first of all, apparently in the first 60 days, the Deloitte website is just overwhelmed
I
for
bet. Yeah.
approval. People
Yeah.
people can't get through. I think President Trump 2 weeks ago announced an executive order where he's creating a committee of athletic-minded people and professionals and leaders to try and figure out, is there a national regulation? Is there some way? I believe that everyone, including the House settlement, is trying to push us away from the pure pay-for-play model and more realistically to revenue sharing that makes sense and a platform for real NIL transactional relationships. What is it going to take? I'm not an expert. I don't know. Are we there today? Absolutely not. Are we working towards that? 100%. I believe life is about pendulum swings. July 1st, 2021, we swung way to one side. Craziness.
Yes.
We're starting to come back. Where it settles, we don't know yet. And I don't have a crystal ball. But yes, we're going to get to more regulations because you can't operate college athletics the way it's currently being run.
And so, what's your take with Learfield and what they're trying to accomplish with their in between with their sponsorship deals?
Well, Learfield's been around a long time as a mass media rights company, MMR, it's called. And, colleges recognize what they do, educate
Hmm.
athletes, run athletic programs, and what they don't do, sell sponsorship. And so they've contracted with Learfield's one of several companies that does this, mass media rights. And they're in charge of selling licensing for the games, for the signage, for the program, in the bookstore, all of those types of things. And with that, Learfield has built a database of interested parties, donors, alums, businesses. So it makes sense that a college or university would lean on a company like Learfield to help generate revenue because the biggest challenge in college athletics today is how do you generate today's money, which is 20.5 million. Next year it's going to go up 4% apparently.
Well,
How do you generate that every year to share with athletes in the revenue sharing model? That's a lot of money that they have to find that wasn't on the books 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
yeah. Well, and that's hopefully where we're trying to slide in and push this activation that George created. Because bottom line is monetization. It's helping create engagement with those fans from that athlete, from that team, from that university, from that league, and to be able to crank out good content for that social engagement, and then ultimately monetize that said social content that that athletes creating for themselves, that athletes creating for their team and the school, and of course the school is creating for itself to that way generate money. And it seems like it's there, and a few of the places that I've talked to, meetings that I've had, weren't monetizing their content yet. A couple of
Mm.
big universities too, and I was just it was just dumbfounded me where that's just money. Money is lost. Where if you can monetize any social anything, any activation, any speech, any ex-player coming back, any fun sporting event in and around anything, you can monetize it. So hopefully more leagues, schools, athletic departments will see the value in that, and we can hopefully work together with some of them to create some of this content because it's there to be had. They have to do it. It's just who's going to actually produce this content and get it out for them and kind of like show them the way to do it, give them like a benchmark of how to achieve it. So that way it sort of starts running itself.
Yeah, I think to your point, why is private equity interested in college athletics? Because they see an upside, right? And they know that they're not monetizing their season ticket holder database or their stadiums or their facilities, right? And so, clearly private equity views it as an upside. So there must be additional monetization available to them. So I think that probably serves to fuel your point.
Do you think the collectives? Here's a question for you. You might you might know, since the collectives can't pay Johnny directly that money for to be the QB for the team, do you think that they could fund activations or fund events that are happening at the school that then you can cover, package, and then monetize that content? So that way that collective isn't giving money to that kid. They're paying money for some type of activation that's going to generate money for that athlete, for that school.
I believe last week there was some press release on a clarification that collectives can pay directly now as long as it's within the revenue sharing model. The collective system is essentially the booster club on steroids, right?
Right.
And so those booster clubs have always been involved in fan engagement, activation, the VIP tent in the parking lot pregame or the halftime or whatever, the lounge in the stadium that everybody pays extra to go to. So I think that will continue. Look, alumni and boosters with money, type A personalities, and a passion for their university, they're not going anywhere.
No, it's definitely a tribe. We're so tribal, down to from politics to our teams to our religions. I mean, we're so tribal. So yeah, that's not gonna go anywhere. Well, hey guys, I just want to remind everyone that this is not just an audio podcast. Like I said, this is also a video podcast, so it will be on YouTube, on my YouTube channel at Go for Donny, where we have Switch Channel 2 as well. I do have a website, gofordonny.com, www.gofordonny.com, and on that website, you can buy fun things. You can learn more about me. There are videos, there's some blog spots. You can see all the episodes of Go for Donny and Switch Channel 2, but we also have some swag and these fun little walkie stickers that my wife created, for your Pelican case or for your mug. I also have hats. I have nice blue ones, some black ones, and some sweatshirts. So please stop by, say hello, like and subscribe, and check out what I'm trying to do. But I can't thank you enough for coming on Go for Donny and sharing just a couple of those fun stories and a little bit more about NIL, Mark. I know I'm going to pick your brain. You're going to give me all the 411 on Switchy Channel 2, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, hey, don't forget what my mother-in-law always says, Mark. My mother-in-law always says HTFU. Hashtag HTFU. And if you don't know what that is, I'll tell you about it on Switchy Channel 2 and everyone else. Thanks for coming, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Production for Donny.
Go for Donny. Locations for Donny. Go for Donny.
Habitat for Donny.
Go for Donny. Hey, Donny, what the hell are they doing?